Hey everyone, this is Witcher the Wizard coming to you on April 21st, Easter Sunday. Happy Easter, whether you celebrate that as a Christian or a pagan. Um, it's a time of renewal, fertility, abundance, resurrection. I like renewal. Um, I don't know, I kind of flip-flop between renewal and resurrection. I mean, they're both really powerful words and ideas. They both have a distinction to them, but they're both really kind of sweet notions that things can come back in your life, and as dark as things might get, that sun will come out tomorrow, right? From that song from Annie. So yeah, it's an interesting day that I've been sick for the past week because I've been running myself too hard. I got a temporary job. It was only supposed to last for 3 months, and then it was a temporary job at in a corporate office doing some work. It was good work. It was easy work for me, at least, and because it was temporary. And then they said, well, you can work as much overtime as you want. I thought, well, this is only going to last for 3 months, so dig in. And I worked 9 to 10 hour days every day since like January 26th up until April 15th, and then I got really sick because my body already told me back when I was working my corporate job in California that I can't do that. Can't do that anymore. But then, so the nice thing was that they actually offered me kind of a ongoing position, which is going to give me some financial stability finally for the first time in the last 3 years. And yet still have time to really focus on my spiritual work, which I do energy healing. And in case you didn't see the video that I put out about the rune readings, I'm starting to do rune readings as well. So if you'd like a rune reading, check out the video labeled as such, and send me an email if you'd like to. The thing, I know it's kind of weird. I work with tarot cards on this, and I really like that. I mean, it works really well. But for personal readings, I like the rune readings because they focus on your energy at the present moment, what you're working through, in kind of a very detailed way. So it's not predictive at all. It's really more prescriptive of sort of who you are energetically and what you're working through and the direction you're heading. So that's why for the personal readings I like the rune cards. But for this, I really love the tarot cards. I get a lot out of them. Today was also it was a difficult day. I found out that my cat, one of my 2 cats, I have 2 cats. I used to have 3 cats back in in the fall of 2016. I actually adopted 2 kittens, and along with the stray kitty cat that I sort of inherited with my, as I moved into my aunt's house. I got these two kittens. They're about a month apart. And one of them, just a little over a year later, died just suddenly out of out of the blue. He died, and it was really, really difficult for me. I mean, first of all, I have no business having three cats. While I've been going through my whole dark night of the soul, there's one lesson I learned out of all of that. It was don't make promises you can't keep. And I got the cats. I don't know. It was, probably just self-sabotage. But nevertheless, as strenuous as it was, having to deal with two kittens and an adult cat who initially did not want the other two kittens there. She was not happy about that. Eventually, grew into good relationships. It was starting to grow into a good relationship with the one kitten, and then he just suddenly died. And I have a lot of really difficult feelings about that because he was the one that was just having the hardest time adjusting, and therefore needing the most amount of care, which I had very little time or energy to give. And so in many ways I was really resentful of that, and yet not entirely. I still loved that little guy and had a lot of compassion for him, and did give him a lot of time and energy. But when he just suddenly died, I mean, there was that part of me that just felt like that some part of me wished for this to happen. Just wished that, I didn't have all these cats to take care of. And so I just felt awful. I still feel awful. I still feel like it was my fault somehow, even though my logical brain says no. He loved to go outside, and I know it's dangerous for cats to be outside, especially when they're young. But I'm not going to keep cats as prisoners. I'm not going to keep the older cat. She loves to stay inside. She goes out every once in a while, comes back in. But she just loves being a house cat. And then the two kittens, they just really wanted to be outside. So let them outdoors when they wanted to go outdoors, knowing that something bad could happen, but also just allowing them to lead their little kitty cat lives, right? And so today, my other cat, Brooks, I noticed he hadn't been eating. He hadn't been eating for... really hadn't wanted to touch his food in 2 days, but that unfortunately really coincided with the fact that I'd been giving these sort of treat samples for the last couple of days, and he'd just run out, and he was really begging for those treats because they were so good. Didn't want to touch his food, but then he didn't want to touch his food, and then he was kind of doing some strange things, and then I saw him drooling a lot today. So I took a closer look, and I realized that his tongue had been split down the middle really badly. And probably for the last 2 days, the poor little guy has been trying to tell me that, but I just didn't, I just had it in my head that he was pitching a fuss about not having his treats, and he didn't want to eat his food. So I didn't really pay it any attention, even was getting annoyed at him. And so, yeah, I feel really good about that because I took him in, to the doctors, and they said that one side of his tongue had already started to deteriorate. Basically they're going to, have to perform surgery on it and remove it, or he'll just continue to get sick and die. And so, hopefully he'll, still have enough tongue left to eat and drink, and but it's been really difficult because there's just a really big part of me And this isn't just with my cats, but like as I've been really struggling through this spiritual awakening or transition or whatever the hell it is that, I've just been flailing around so much with my own shit that I just have not had. I'm just not like a functional human being for the other people around me. For the other, like I just feel like I can't give to my, family and friends, and in ways that are appropriate for adult human beings. And then I'm just kind of like sucking up all the oxygen in the room as I'm trying to like get a handle on my own stuff. And so, I know part of this is like beating myself up, and second guessing myself and things like that. And, how are you supposed to know these things unless you've ever like, seen a cat that's had problems? I mean, having gone through this now, if I ever see another cat that's acting strangely in the way that Brooks was acting, I can immediately go, there's something wrong. But, yeah, I don't know. I just feel really bad for having kind of missed those signs, like really wrapped up in my own stuff, and just kind of really missed those signs that he was showing me for the last couple of days that he was not feeling good, that there was something wrong. It's funny because I was, I've been having a discussion. I was having a discussion with somebody that I know about the narcissist and the codependent, quote unquote. And I had been floating this sort of revelation that I've had, because I consider myself a codependent. But based on a conversation I had with someone I know, very, very wise woman that I know, who is another psychic, and she has a channel, and she's just amazing and great and does a lot of great things. But this conversations back and forth that we were having, I kind of had this revelation that codependents are also a bit on the narcissist scale, just not in the same way that narcissists are, but it's still this kind of in a way that it's our inability to focus on anything other than our own wounds, for the most part, to some degree, right? The codependent you always think of as the overgiver, but if they're overgiving, and their needs aren't being met, then they have to take somewhere, and usually it's they're kind of like overgiving on this side and kind of like secretly taking on that side. I will probably at some point in time really flesh that idea out and present it fully. But I kind of feel, pretty wrapped up in my own junk right now, and because of that, not really taking the time to take a close look at, what's going on with the important people in my life, friends, family, pets, and now, my poor little kitty cat's in the hospital tonight, and he's going to have part of his tongue removed tomorrow, and hopefully that will go well. And I'm having to ask my sister for help to pay for it, because yet again, I still have my shit together financially as I'm trying to figure out all this stuff. And so, again, my being wrapped up in all my stuff is just kind of causing a lot of, it's like when someone's drowning and they're just flailing and grabbing onto anything. And so you don't try and swim out and assist them. You throw something out to them, because if you get too close, they're going to pull you under. And so I really, really didn't feel like doing this reading tonight. And I was coming home from the vet clinic, and I was just like, yeah, no, I'm going to do this tomorrow. And then I thought, well, didn't I just have a video the other week, talking about how, even when you're feeling really difficult feelings, now's the right time. Now's the right time to do stuff. And so here I am. So I went ahead and drew the cards. I'm going to jump on in with the feminine cards, the card for the feminine energy. And remember, this isn't talking about biological sex, male or female. It's feminine energy that everyone has. And I came up with the Queen of Wands in reverse. Ouch. So, certainly, the Queen of Wands is all about having that inner inspiration, inspired action. I mean, wands are all about inspired action. I know sometimes they talk about it as communication as well, which I'm kind of not so sure about that. I don't know, action is action. Communication is action. So action is action. Inspired action. It's moving the ball forward, getting yourself going. And the Queen of Wands is normally all about having that mastery of that inner inspiration, of turning that inspired action in towards yourself, projecting that inwardly, really getting your shit together, having your stuff together. Not only being tapped into what inspires you, your passions, your drives, but also having faith in that enough to, do something with it, and not sit around and constantly do the back and forth pondering of, is this the right thing to do or not the right thing to do? Or I really have passion about this, but crap, what if everybody laughs at me? That kind of thing. It's just like, you know what you want to do, and you actually do it. And especially in the Queen of Wands, it's really about being yourself, self authority. It's your own self authority, not having to ask for permission to be who you are. It's knowing who you are and being who you are, right? And that's really important, because the feminine is always the foundation of who we are. And without having that knowledge and permission to be yourself on the feminine, the masculine is just rudderless, or direction. It's just directionless action, right? Going around in circles. So you need that for it's the cornerstone. It's the foundation of everyone and everything. It's the self-evolved, self-authorized feminine energy. And that feeling inspired. Shit, where was I going with that? And so, the Queen of Wands in reverse, it's where are we lacking that, in ourselves? Where are we lacking that connection to our passions? that either we don't know what they are, or we know what they are, consciously know what they are. We always unconsciously know what they are. Your passions and your inspirations, you never have to find them. You just have to um, bring them up into allow them up into your consciousness. They're always there. And so if you don't know what they are, it's because you buried them under a ton of your guilt and shame. That's where they are. They're buried under guilt and shame. If you don't know what your passions are, if you don't know what your true passions are, it's because you buried them under guilt and shame. Period. And all you got to do is just release all of that, and they will bubble up to the surface, guaranteed. Always there. You've known what they were from the beginning, when you were born, and you cannot dispossess yourself of them. All you can do is just heap on a bunch of shame and guilt until your conscious mind can't see them anymore. Kind of like a bunch of dirty clothes all over your carpet. You can't see the carpet anymore. But so that's where we're at right now. Is where are we not connecting to our own inner authority and our own inner passions? Where are we not feeling inspired? Where are we blocking ourselves? Where are we denying who we are? Where are we sabotaging that, right? Where are we thinking that when tough things come up in our life, that somehow the game is over and we can't recover? Or where are we feeling that, maybe like patterns of things happen, I mean, just talking about my cats, it's like I had the one cat die, and then the other cat's like seriously injured, and I'm just thinking to myself, am I just not allowed to have cats? I had a cat in college for about 9 months, and then he died on me just suddenly. I actually took him. I was so broken up about that. It came out like 10 minutes. Anyway, I was so broken up about it. I took him in to have a necropsy done, which is like an autopsy, but for pets. And they just said, well, he had a congenital heart condition, and one of his heart valves, the string on it broke, and it stopped working, and he just silently suffocated. And it was, on the last day of my my finals. So, I saw him early in the morning. I petted him, told him what a good kitty he was, took off to go take my finals, came back home, and my roommates were telling me that they found him on the floor. And, it's just like, so I got this thing, and like, all I've ever wanted in life was to get married and have kids and have a family. But I've made decisions in my life that have guaranteed that has not come to pass. And I'm just kind of thinking, like, am I stuck in this pattern? Can I just not have relationships, connections in my life? And that's like a perfect example of the Queen of Wands in reverse. Because the answer to that is absolutely not. Like, yeah, these kinds of things happen. And they're tough, and they're really difficult sometimes. And we often think somehow it's my fault. And that, wow, this is a pattern that keeps showing up, and it's always going to be that way, but only if you let it. Only if you really believe that that's the case. Yeah, this really sucks. But does it mean that I can't have a relationship in my life? No. Only if I allow it to be. Only if I allow myself to sit in this Queen of Wands in reverse position. Because I have that choice, right? I can do that. I can sit in this energy and just gin up that story of like, yeah, this is my life, and I never get to have X, Y, and Z. Yep, I can choose that if I want to, but it doesn't have to be. I can turn that around and I can say, nope, not true, you know. And it's really sneaky, so you got to be careful. And look and see what patterns we have showing up in our lives where we're just kind of acquiescing to that and saying, yeah, that's who I am. And do some review on that and find those stories that you're just sort of giving into. Find those negative stories that you're giving into. You just say, no, that's not me. It's not who I want to be. You know, yeah, that story's shown up in the past, but I'm changing it. I'm rewriting it. Because you can rewrite it anytime you want to. In fact, you can rewrite it in the past. You can go back and rewrite it in the past if you want to. It's one of the best things to do to change your future. Rewrite your past. Because your past is only a story recorded in your memory. It doesn't exist anymore. And I guarantee it exists differently in everybody's memory. So it doesn't matter if you go back and rewrite the negative stories in your past and make them positive. One of the best things you can ever do. And then for the masculine energy, we've got the initiate, which is the Fool in reverse. So the Fool, the thing I love most about the Fool is that it is the energy of being able to make mistakes. And not get in trouble for it. And by trouble, I don't mean, like punished. I just mean people don't really hold the Fool accountable for making mistakes because it's the Fool. The Fool makes mistakes. Everyone knows that. It's the initiate. It's the beginner. When I was in the Army, and I was a private E1, that was the perfect example of the Fool. You go in, you don't know anything, everyone's yelling at you, you're trying to learn things a mile a minute. No one ever expects a private E1 to do anything right. They're always expecting that person to make mistakes all day long. And so I figured that out pretty quickly, and it's amazing how much fun you can have with that. Actually, I took my Fool and turned him into a Joker. And I had a lot of fun with sort of, that trickster energy of being able to do really sort of, funny and outlandish things. And people just kind of throwing their hands up in the air and going, oh, privates. I was just like, yeah. And yet somehow I lost that. I lost that. Later in my later years in life, I started to take myself too seriously, and I didn't allow myself to maintain that Fool energy of just saying, when you're starting something new, you can always make mistakes, and nobody thinks any less of you. Everyone just like, yeah, And so the best part about that is that every day is a new beginning. Every day is a new chance to get out of bed and be the initiate, be the Fool. And whatever you're starting on, make mistakes. And be okay with it. It's okay. When I got my real estate license, I was scared to death of making mistakes. Couldn't actually do anything because I was scared to death of making mistakes. When I started my energy practice, I was scared to death of making mistakes. It took me forever. It took this extremely kind-hearted master yogi instructor. She, when she found me, she just took me by the arm and said, no, you're coming into my yin yoga class. And you're going to start doing energy work on people in that class every week, and people are going to love you. And I did. And it's coming up. It's not quite a year later, about 10 months later, and I'm such a different energy worker now than I was back then. Just because I was given that chance to go in and just be the initiate and be okay with not being perfect. When I first got the push to do some kind of videos on YouTube, that was literally back in January of 2017. I really felt the push to do videos on YouTube. And it was just all about twin flames and twin flame experience and my thoughts and all that kind of stuff. It took me until July 18th. It was 2 days before my birthday before I finally did my first video. It took me that long to get myself to actually start doing videos. And I was so scared of getting on camera and making mistakes that when I look back, I kind of, I really laugh at myself because, first of all, I don't even do live videos. I record them and then put them up. And so I couldn't even get myself to record a video and then just delete it later if I wanted to, Like just the idea of recording a video of myself was just so terrifying that I couldn't do that. It took me 6 months to screw up the courage, and then I only kind of did it a little bit for like the next 6 months, and I don't even remember, excuse me, when I started really kind of getting onto a regular schedule and doing these energy readings. I'm sorry this is going so long, but holy moly, this whole last 3.5 years of my kind of like spiritual journey has one of the biggest things that's been placed right up in my face is the fact that I have really lost my ability to allow myself to be the fool and make mistakes, to be the initiate. It's okay. It's okay to be the initiate. It's okay to be the beginner. It's okay to know that you're going to make mistakes and that that's fine. I mean, that's relatable. Nobody relates to anything that's perfect. So find that initiate energy again. Find that fool energy. Allow yourself to make mistakes. Every day when you get out of bed, just say, I'm a fool. I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to fail my way into success. I am working on that. Failing your way to success. I'm really heavily focused on the failure part right now, but I'm hoping to switch over to the success part like really soon. All right, let's see what the Oracle card is for today. It is the Talisman card in the upright. That's a really pretty card. Talisman in the upright. So let me go ahead and read that. I don't think I've ever gotten that card before, so I'm pretty excited. Talisman. All right, almost got it. Bear with me here. A lesson truly learned is crystallized as earned wisdom. You have all you need for the success you seek. I like that. In the upright, wisdom allows you to recognize traps on the road and familiar patterns that you want to avoid. It also enables you to quickly gather information about where you are on your journey. It helps you realize your allies and know how to find the best routes along the way. Now you're at a place where you know the right things to do and the best choices to make. You really can't commit a mistake. Oh, it's funny. Whatever your inquiry, great fortune awaits you, for you have the wisdom to arrive at the right decision. You've learned your lessons and earned the right to your success. Well, I think that says it all, so I'm going to leave it there. I hope you all have been having a good week. I don't know what your experiences were on the full moon, the second full moon in Libra on Friday night. Mine was pretty interesting. I had reconnected with somebody that I'd lost touch with for a while, who is a strong soul connection of mine. A really, really interesting person. Super duper smart, super duper psychic. Going through a lot of their own stuff, as we all are. So it's always just, everyone was talking about how the Libra full moon is going to be all about relationships. And man, that energy it doesn't disappoint. It really is. But always remember that the most important relationship is your relationship to yourself, your inner relationship, which is always reflected back to you externally. So if you want your relationships to improve, your external relationships to improve, seek first to look at and work on those internal relationships. And that will be reflected back out to you. Sorry. Anyway, I'm wishing you all well. A very, very happy week. Be safe, be happy, be gentle and kind on yourselves for all your mistakes. It's okay. Find your inspirations and let go of anything that's holding you back from those. So we'll see you next Sunday. And until then, take care.